What are some of the commonly used approaches for continuous improvement ideation? And this process is really a three-legged stool, right? And on the first leg, what you have is ideation. This is the stimulation or the generation of ideas that can help move your business in the right direction. The second leg here is evaluation. If you got a lot of ideas coming in, they need to be evaluated for feasibility, risk, and reward. And then the third leg of the stool is implementation, right? The things got to get done. If they're not getting done, it's going to stifle your engine of creativity. Let's talk about these in a little more detail. So around idea generation, I've seen a couple of different approaches, but this is probably four of the most commonly used techniques. So idea or suggestion box is an easy one. Just put a box out and say, hey, submit your suggestions here. This could be a blind box or not. Blind meaning doesn't include your name. You could do it anonymously. And in some cases where there's a high degree of confidentiality, that may be the best way to go. Usually for improvement ideas, kind of continuous improvement type stuff, it's not as confidential. So anonymity is not as a big priority. Of course, paper submission system, just having someone who's in charge of the program provide forms that others can fill out, submit, just leave it on my desk, leave it in my drawer, whatever it is, and then it'll flow into the evaluation process. Of course, brainstorming, and here you could just use a flip chart or a whiteboard or something to capture the ideas. If you go and do this, make sure you follow the rules of brainstorming. No critiquing ideas, anything goes, it's wide open. You want to stimulate, you want to encourage people to engage and participate. And then of course, a digital system, right? This can be blind or not blind as well. I really like the digital system because it actually helps you manage the end-to-end ideation process for continuous improvement. You probably noticed the $sign sitting in the middle there. This is because I've seen to great effect companies apply incentives to improvement ideas, especially if it's a financial benefit or some other benefits, safety, quality, service, customer service, whatever it is. I'm not always the big advocate of providing incentives, especially if it's something that you consider to be part of their base work. But if it's work that goes above and beyond base and the business is going to potentially perpetually benefit from the work. As a business person, as an owner, to me, this is a very powerful way to drive greater engagement in a wider variety of ideas that could help the business. So I've seen that used well. Certainly not opposed to trying that out here too. So after the idea generation phase, whichever method you use, they would go into the evaluation phase, right? And essentially here we're just evaluating for feasibility, risk, and reward. Will it work? What are the risks involved? Can we stomach it or can we mitigate those risks? And what's the reward? Is it worth doing? And there's two primary approaches that are used to do this part of it. I've seen a continuous improvement committee where you got a facilitator here and you got hopefully a cross-functional group of folks participating in that committee. And what they're doing is applying some degree of judgment, maybe doing some type of scoring of all the ideas that come in to help determine which ones bubble up to the top for implementation. The other way to do this, and this works really well with a digital system, is what I call a change management approach, where the idea gets routed from function to function, and those functions have an opportunity to, again, assess feasibility, risk, and reward. Is the savings actually legitimate, right? Can we actually claim $100,000 on this idea? Is it so risky that it's going to cause problems in other areas that are not mitigatable? And if it does have some degree of risk, can that risk be mitigated in some way? So that's the change management piece, and that can be done completely digitally so that people can do it on their own time. Yes, I've seen both of those work very well. Then at the implementation phase, right, the third leg of the stool, and this is probably the most important leg. And I'll tell you why in a second. So there's really three ways to go about this. There's the intrapreneur, where you got an individual who is enterprising, who can take the idea, who can leverage relationships, leverage networks, has some degree of access to resources or knows how to get them. And they pull the project together and they drive it through to implementation. There's the chain of command approach, where depending on what type of idea it is, if it's a safety idea, it might get passed on to the safety department and then they manage it through their natural structure. It might be an operations project. It might be a maintenance project. It might be a quality project. So based on what type it is, it just gets routed into the organization's natural structure. And the last one here is what I call the tiger team. You know, I've seen companies use the tiger teams. And essentially what this is just a group of specialists, you know, have a special skill set, usually some pretty good project managers. And they use the tools that they have at their disposal in their entire job, right? This isn't a side hustle job, right? This is your job. And what you do is you take the ideas that bubble up to the top, you just take the next one and you drive it through to implementation. In a lot of cases, especially when you got pretty good savings opportunities, if it's important enough for your business to accelerate fast, you got some market opportunities you're trying to capture and you need to get there quickly, I've seen tiger teams work really well. And this could be internal people, this could also be contractors, consultants, whatever you need to make that system work. The reason this piece, the implementation piece, is so important is because if you got a bunch of people submitting ideas and they're all excited about their ideas, can't wait to get them going and see them be implemented, and then they go to evaluation and they just vanish, right, into a black hole. You never see them again, never hear anything, never get a thank you, pat on the back or anything, they just go away. Then it's going to kill your engine of creativity and idea generation. So it's important that this piece works. It's a very important leg of the stool here. And this piece absolutely has to work and has to deliver results, right, for the entire program to work. Okay, so how do you...